My topic is what it is, how to construct the authority and ambiguity of signage interpretation in public spaces through multimedia. Throughout 2 months of writing the CCP, I've clarified in my mind the relationship between the signs as meaning, as ambiguity, and as authority. With signs on the street, although we are clear that message on them guides us in our daily life, it takes a few tries to find out where it's come from and who installed it. The almost anonymous indicate statement constitutes the rules of our daily life. Our observation of this anonymous authority system from the fact that we have been and continues to be shaped by our bodies through society and history. We develop certain condition reflex to such linguistic expression that link meaning to a collective consciousness. We shape generalized notions of government and follow the instruction of the anonymous. This is because failure to do so may result in a corresponding punishment. Whether it's an applicable punishment, such as a fine or suspicions in driving license, or an invisible one, such as going to the wrong way and falling into a road pothole. So hidden punishment system behind signage make people react to it with instinctive compliance. The signage through law in society creates a structural network of a common that provides relative constraints on humans' behavior and instructions for change. The multiplicity of the heterogeneous power relatives that permeate daily life and diffuse through all aspects of society construct the way citizens live. The authority and ambiguity implied the signs in the street constitute an inevitable contradiction. What kind of relationship to power does this ambiguity constitute to us? It seemed to me that anonymous signs and anonymous audience bring about the dialogue of equals. In a sense, the signage builds a discourses based on the urban landscape. Such power no longer arises from the dualistic relationship between the roller and the road. Similarly, we can always see the graffiti stickers and the rewriting of the content in the street. This plurality, this complex interaction, power, and intellectual dialogue make our relationship with power relatively equal and free. Signage medicates the definition of a field for the exchange of ideas and information between individuals living in the society, a concept of the public sphere that straddles the public and private sphere, that keeps the state in touch with the need of the community through the media. Such a conversational move prompts the collision of the authority and discretion in public discourses. The authoritative and the constrained are reconciled in the medium of signage. We can clearly see how the two parties represent the content of expression in the real world. The degree of deviation in understanding of symbols influenced by the way they are presented. As real thing in the real world, street signs need to be distinguished from the signs in the stereotypical sense and can be influenced by, for example, placement, material, color, wear and tear, hierarchy, and more. The language of signage needs to take into account the different language expression of the same content, the cultural background of the receiver, the placement, and other factors from the point of view of the reader. In order to achieve the most efficient message delivery with this in mind, I have developed a series of the magazines called Language and Signage, in which I plan to use different visual systems that best suit the theme in terms of the form, color, placement, multilingual, self-made, and backside. The theme is illustrated with different visual systems that best suit for the subject. The use of incorrect colors, poority hierarchy, and faulty printing can also affect the reader's understanding of the content. Due to the long-term use of notice board, there is inevitably an overlap and interaction with the new signs replacing other original ones or stickers being applied, affecting the content of the signs themselves. For multilingual speakers, there are also differences in comprehension of language use on part of the language learner, and the incomplete semiotical correspondence between proper nouns from in English and native language creates a bias in comprehension. Another idea for my work is a dialect based on anonymous identity, with finder fulfills my promise to perform. The interaction between the signage and the environment on which the residents are placed brings about the real-world confusing. Ambiguity itself weakens the authority system of the signage, but take ambiguity as a strategy. Unclearly articulate content and vague instructions create the lack of clarity in compliance with the rules. The superimposed instructions and random graffiti personify the status quo. The pedestrian forms a temporary warning system, and the content is removed from the content of the sign's own original application medium and then returned to it. And will the pedestrian comply with the signage I provide? I plan to use 3 different forms of dialect from the identity. What I see now is a blend of anonymous status and signage. Also, what change while holding the signage cause people to make as an anonymous person? What change will the rewriting of the signage cause people to remake? Finally, there is no way to convey information with 100% accuracy because individuals will interpret the signage differently and we cannot reconcile everybody's reception criteria. Ambiguity will continue to permeate in signage, so this is important to use ambiguity as a strategy. The right use of ambiguity in language can increase or decrease the implied authority of a message, achieving the different linguistic tendencies required for a particular use. Creating signage content using ambiguity can also improve the relationship between citizens and authority, making our relationship with power equal and liberal.